Hello everyone, welcome to Salesforce YouTube series by bisptrainings.com. My name is Sumit and I'm a subject matter expert in Salesforce. Since last few videos we are talking about integration of Salesforce with various tools. So in this video I'm going to demonstrate you that how can we integrate Salesforce with YouTube. So I would like to access the YouTube APIs from my Salesforce object, and then there will be going to provide uh, object ID, and based on that object ID it will extract the details about the videos. For example, the number of counts, number of likes, number of subscriptions, and so on. So that information I would like to display within an object, or I want to store in an object. So later on we can by using reporting tools or by using wave analytics we can perform in data visualization on it. So in order to do that, first of all, what we have to do is you should have a Salesforce developers account. So as you can see here, I already got a Salesforce developers account. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new custom object, and I'll call that custom object as a YouTube video. So let me create a new object here. So I'm going to take help of schema builder because by using a schema builder we can quickly create an object and place fields into it. So I'm going to clear all elements, drag and drop an object, and the name is YouTube video. YouTube videos, and the record name will be YouTube video name. And I simply save it. Now in here we'll be going to add some custom fields. Now in the custom fields like because we would like to store the values in that object, so we need to create custom fields into it. So the fields I will be requiring number of comments, and that would be a text type. So I drag and drop text, and it should be number of comments. Right, number of comments, and the size is 20. Save it. It's not mandatory field. I'm not making any field as a mandatory field. Number of comments. Again, I drag and drop. This would be number of dislikes, and this should be again 20. Save it. Then I want a new field called number of likes, and this also 20. Save it. The next field will be number of view counts, so I drag and drop, and number of view counts, this also 20. And finally I want to have a video ID, so this video ID also text video ID, but this time its size will be 250 because the ID could be little longer. So close it. Now as you can see here, this object has not been added, so very quickly I create tabs, and I'm going to add that object here. I'm going to display that object on this custom object tab. So click on new, and YouTube videos, I want to display this video object tab or this object. Next. So these all are standard features, so I believe you all are familiar with all these things. So those who are not, you can go through our previous videos as well. And this is in site.com, so I'll say site.com, or we can include in all the tabs as well, so that we can access this object from all the tabs. So we have this YouTube video, but this video will be incomplete. This object will be incomplete. There will be no fields on it except one, YouTube video name, because we have to change the layout, and from within layout we have to add more fields. So I scroll down, look for layouts, that is for page layout, edit this page layout, and I'm going to drag and drop the fields, and then we quickly arrange the fields in a required order. So I quickly arrange the fields. First of all, the video ID. Close it. I want to have a video ID. I want to have number of comments, number of dislikes, number of likes, number of view counts, and save it. So like this, we have created a field. So basically object is ready with fields. So let's go and check. I click on YouTube videos and we will have, when I click on new, here we'll provide the YouTube name and the video ID. Now how to get the YouTube video ID? So to get the YouTube video ID, for example, I click on any YouTube video. So what I'm doing is I'm going to get the YouTube video ID for this particular record. As you can see here, there are 13,177 views. So, or this has 27,037 views. So I just open it. That's the video ID. So I can copy this video ID, and at present I'm just storing here. That's my video ID. Right. So that's the video ID. You can see there are these are the views, likes, dislikes, subscriptions. Number of comments are 8. So I'm interested in fetching up all the details and storing into an object in Salesforce. So I close it one. So we have fetched the video ID. Now what we have to do is we have to create a custom app. So first of all, the next step is we need to create a Salesforce custom app, and we need this custom app. Basically, we'll be using this custom app to yeah. So app, actually that's the custom app. So that's custom app, and within custom app we have this custom object where we have added successfully. Now what we are going to do is we will be going to get the API of the video. So because YouTube is a separate entity and Salesforce is a separate entity, so now my requirement is I would like to get the API for this YouTube. So to get the API for this YouTube, or we need to have an endpoint, an API key, or the authentication ID. So in this example, I will be using the API key. So what I will be doing is I will be going to open the developer console, Google developer console. So very first thing, I simply open console dot developers dot google dot com, and I'll just remove this one, google.com. And I'm going to create a new project into it. So as you can see here, I've already created a new project. We can click on create project. Let's suppose I click on create project, and I'm going to give a name to this project. So let's suppose I'll say YouTube integration. And it stores under VSP. So I create this project, and then so you can see a YouTube integration project has been created, and we are into YouTube integration now. So now first of all, I'm going to create credentials for it. So to create credentials, you see there is a section called credentials. So we'll be using this section to create credentials, because by using these credentials, we'll be going to get the API names, APIs keys and all. So I click on credentials. So you have to follow the steps as it is, then you would be able to extract the YouTube videos information into your Salesforce. So create credentials. So here I'm choosing API key. So this is the API key. So I'll say restrict your key to prevent unauthorized users in production. So I'm okay with this key, and I close this. So this API key has been created, and the name is API key. We can rename it if we want. So we can edit this, and instead of API key, I'll give this name as Salesforce, and there is no key restriction. I don't want any restriction on it, so I simply save it. So this API key will be using now in uh, in Salesforce. We'll be going to create one. We'll be going to create one custom connectivity, and we'll use this API key. So by using this with the help of this API key, it will help us to extract the video details. Excuse me. Now we need to enable the, so basically this key is just a token to get the required details from the YouTube. Now next we need to enable the YouTube data API. So I again click on dashboard, and we need to enable this API first of all. So I click on enable API, and I want to enable API for this YouTube integration for YouTube data API. So I select YouTube data API. So in Google API, we have this, you can see we have Google Map API. So these are the various APIs, the products which are related with Google, Google Cloud API, and we have more as well. So Google Map, and I'm interested in Google Data API. So I select Google, or sorry, YouTube Data API. I click on YouTube Data API, and here so I'm going to create an API. So this is the application. You can see this Google service will help us by, with the help of this API key, our application can integrate with the Google services API. So I enable it, and now I want to test this API. So to test this API, just click on this link, try this API in API Explorer, and if you remember, we have stored the video ID. So I just wanted to make sure whether it's working or not. So what I'm doing is, and here I say YouTube. So I select video list, scroll down to YouTube video list, click on video. It returns a list of videos that match the API request parameters. So I click on YouTube video list, past, it's a part, so I write statistics, and we need to give the ID. So ID we have stored, that's the video ID. So I copy this ID, and now I paste this ID here, click on, scroll down, say authorize and execute. It is for YouTube video upload, manage your videos, and channel auditing. So I select all of them and authorize and execute. So it will get the authorization, manage your YouTube videos. So I'll say allow, and once it is done, you can see a script has been generated, and you see that's the view count, like counts, dislike counts, comments. So if you remember the video which I was talking about, just look at here once again. This video has got how many likes there, how many views? 27,037. Just look at it, 27,037. How many likes? 22 likes and 6 dislikes. So 22 likes and 6 dislikes, and here we have 8 comments. So 8 comments. So actually this information will be going to pass into Salesforce. Now what we have to do is, next is we have to do some custom settings in Salesforce. So I'll get back to Salesforce now, and we need to create custom settings for accessing the YouTube API from the Salesforce. So what I'll do is I click on setup. We are not going to touch YouTube videos right now. So I click on setup, develop. In develop, we have custom settings. So I'm going to create a custom settings and click on new. So basically we use this custom settings to create and manage custom data the organization. So basically this custom settings we can access. Custom settings can be used by formula fields, Visualforce, Apex, and the force.com API web services. So this custom settings will be going to access in one Apex class. So we'll see that. First of all, let's create a custom settings. I click on new, and I set the label. So I set the label as YouTube API setting. Object name will be YouTube. underscore tube underscore API underscore setting. Setting type will be list and visibility will be public, and save it. Now in this custom settings, we have to create a custom field. So I create a custom field as a data type as a text area. So I'm going to create a data type within this. So data type will be as a text area. His data type is text area, and click on next, and the name of that field will be value underscore underscore c. The name will be value, so it will automatically create added as a value underscore underscore c. And so it's text area. Next, yeah, it's a data type is text area. I just wanted to make sure that it would be as a text area. It's a text area. So you see this, your interface should look like this. Then click on manage. After once you have added a custom fields and you have a custom setting definition detail page, click on manage, and within this manage we'll be going to create two fields. One field called YouTube endpoint and another field is known as YouTube API key. So I click on new, and here we'll be going to create two fields very quickly. The first field will be named as YouTube endpoint. So I write YouTube endpoints. Now here we need to pass a value. So the value for this endpoint will be whatever link you have passed. So this will be the endpoint. So I copy this and paste here as an endpoint. Save it. So I'll save a new because we need to create one more field. And next is the YouTube API YouTube key. So next is YouTube key. Now this YouTube key will be the key which we have defined, the key which we basically, this key is the, we'll get back to the services. Yeah, sorry. Instead of going into get back into services, we have this YouTube API, the credentials which we created. So within the credentials, we have the API key. We created the API key. So we need to copy that API key. That's the API key. So I copy this API key and paste this API key here. So whatever API key we have defined while creating a credential, so this API key will be useful. So I use this API key and click on save. So we have two variables now, two values now. First one is YouTube endpoints and the second is YouTube key, and these two variables, these two keys will be going to use in our Apex class. So this will help us to extract the values into to pass the value or to access the values into Apex class. Now we have to enable now to call the external API from Salesforce with the help of within Salesforce. What we have to do is we have to create remote site settings. So to create remote site settings, click on security controls and here look for remote site setting. So I scroll down and check for remote site setting. Remote site setting. I click on remote site setting, click on new remote site setting. This is to access the external ID information, and the remote site setting name here is, I'll give a name as u underscore tube underscore API underscore setting. Remote site URL will be the no remote site URL will be your this URL, https www.googleapis.com. So this will be your remote site URL, and make sure to make it active and save it. Now what we'll do is we'll insert a new record. It says Oh, sorry, it should be only underscores are allowed. So it's a rule naming convention. So it should be only within underscore. So we have done a couple of things, but now when I click on YouTube videos and I click on new, so for example, I insert a new record here. So the video name was WebLogic Introduction Class. So I'll just write a name, WebLogic Introduction Class, and the video ID. So video ID is, my video ID is this. So I copy this video ID and paste here. So I click on save. I like to have one get details button over here. I want to have one button here, get details, so that when we click on that button, these fields will be populated and it will display the values in these fields. So that's my requirement. So after clicking on the button, the fields should get populated. So first of all, what we have to do is we have to create a get details custom button. Okay, we have to create a get details custom button into this. So I get to its property page, and here we have an option called button links and action. So we can create a new button or link. So I click on new button or link. In this new button or link, I'll give the name as get detail. I get as get details. Now it is asking for this display type will be detail page down, and behavior will be it will execute a JavaScript. So execute JavaScript, on click JavaScript means when we click on this button, it should execute a JavaScript. Now what JavaScript we should write here? So we need to write a JavaScript to execute that code. So to get that script, I have already stored the, I have already created the JavaScript. So what I'm doing is I'm simply using that JavaScript. I'll simply copy paste it, and you can find that script later on along with the video. So I'll just paste my script code, JavaScript code, and make sure that it would be, now it is, as you can see here, the video ID is YouTube underscore video underscore underscore. So it is asking for ID. So I'll open this property page, and in this property page, the API name is YouTube underscore video underscore underscore C. So YouTube underscore video underscore underscore C dot video underscore ID underscore underscore C. So it should be same. Okay, you need to replace the field names with your field name, whatever you are using, and the ID is dot ID. So YouTube underscore video underscore underscore C dot ID. Fine. Now next is, it is basically it is asking an apex class. So we need to create an apex class name as YouTube video details. So I copy this because I'm going to create a new class here. So I scroll down, develop, and create a new class. We need to create a new class, and so that when we click on that button, it will execute this script, and this script will invoke that class, and within that class we invoke the API's functionality. So I create a new class. So I create a new class, and in that class, the class name is I quickly define the class. Global class, and the name of the class which we define. That's the name of the class. Now in this class, what would be the code? So in this class, the code will be I'm just copy pasting the code within that class. I'll share all the codes to you. You can find out the code in the GitHub link attached with this video, so that you can copy paste it from there itself. So you can see that's the code, and in this code we have passed the video ID and string record. So this video ID and record ID is passing from here, details and details obj. So it will pass the object ID and record ID to this class, and based on this object ID and record ID, this class will extract the ID. So first of all, encryption key. So API setting dot get instance. So what is the API? This is u underscore tube underscore API settings, and u underscore tube. So that's the custom setting which we have set. If you remember the custom setting which we have done, let me open that custom setting once again. So it's under develop and custom settings. So I'll open in a new tab. So that's the name of this See, that's the API name, u underscore tube underscore API underscore settings underscore underscore C. So the same name I pass here, u underscore tube underscore API settings dot get instance. So there's a get instance YouTube key and YouTube endpoints. So if you remember when we manage it, so we have two more fields, u underscore tube underscore key. So I open it and the field, the name is YouTube key. So I copy this YouTube key. So basically we are passing the parameters to these classes. So it's YouTube key and YouTube endpoints. So YouTube endpoints are back to list, and here we have YouTube endpoints. So I copy this YouTube endpoints, copy this and paste here YouTube endpoints dot value underscore underscore C. Now in endpoint it will replace with API key and the video ID. So if you see, so we have your API key. Now actually thing is we have to replace it with API key, but this is not it, this does not exist. So we have ID, so we have a static ID. So what I will do is basically so we have here, like if I expand, it is passing your API key and the video ID. So video ID we have to pass. So video ID will be this thing. So I'll do one thing. I copy this video ID, copy this, and instead of this static ID, I pass my ID. Video ID and key is equal to this, and save it. So this is the final customization which we have to do. And after that, if you scroll down, so it will extract, it will the protocol will be as a get protocol. It will extract the values and store in the variables. So it will extract the values, YouTube underscore video underscore underscore C, that's the name. It's YouTube underscore video, that's the name of that instance. And here we have rec ID, counts, so number of views counts. So let's have a look. Number of views underscore counts underscore underscore C. So number of view underscore count, number of likes underscore underscore C, number of likes. I'll do one thing, let's copy it once again, number of likes. Okay, and then number of dislikes. So number of dislikes, and finally we have number of comments. So I copy number of comments underscore underscore C, and I pass it as number of comments underscore underscore C, and number of view count. So number of view count. So this is because I did this with some previous coding, so that's the way. So now we have got all the details successfully, and we can save this class now. We save this class. So we save this class. So if any error, this will throw error message here too, and it will ask us to rectify. There is no error now. So, and we get back. So this is working fine. So this is asked this YouTube video details. So the class name is YouTube video details, and this class will be accessed by this Java when we click on this button. So when we click on this get detail button, it will invoke this Apex class, and that Apex class will invoke the custom API settings. And through that custom API settings, it will invoke the YouTube API which we have configured in Google API. Finally, save it. Okay, so this button has not yet added on the layout, so we have to add this button on our layout. So I close this one, and this is our object. So I'll open this layout, page layout. I edit this, and now I'm going to drag and drop that get details button, and I'll remove that close button. So instead of, so I click on buttons, and see we have get details button. So I drag and drop this button, and I remove the sharing button. I remove this change record type, and I remove change owner and clone. So I left only with three buttons: edit, delete, and one custom button as get details. Let's save it. So that's all. It's done. Now let's test this. So for testing this, we click on YouTube videos. And in YouTube videos, I click on web introduction class. And now we have already provided the video ID and the YouTube, because we are not, this name could be anything. We are only passing this video ID. So now when I click on get details, this will, there's a script associated. That script will invoke that class, Apex class, and that Apex class will invoke the custom settings, and in that custom settings, it will invoke the APIs. And The values will return and it will display the values over here. Let's test it now. So you see, when I click on get details, the values has been updated successfully. So we have the same numbers. Number of comments, number of likes are 6. Let's go and verify this. Number of likes, like count is 22, dislike is 6, comment is 8, and view count is 27037. So that's how. Now if we change the video ID, it will get the details, it will pull the details of that video. So that's all in this video. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. So like this, we can integrate the YouTube, or we can access the YouTube video details information in Salesforce by using YouTube API keys. That's all. If you have any comments, you can pass your comments in comment box. You can subscribe our YouTube channel for more videos on integration of with Salesforce. If you have any requirement on trainings, you can connect with us for the customized training on Salesforce. Keep watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.